than sending money.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Please proceed. Bring in the witness.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the witness is being brought in, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Marena, welcome back.
Mr. Marena, bismillah.
We were talking about the abuse of certain legislation during Jame era. And the last one we talked about was the Economic Crimes Act. And some of the rather surprising features of that legislation, including the trial in absentia provisions. It contains an interesting revelation on some of the things that the government, with the right political will, can use to really deal with some of the findings of the Jane Commission. Because those are nothing short of economic crimes. And the trial in absentia provisions can come quite handy. Only deja vu or taste of your own medicine.
The
other interesting feature is the issue of the bail conditions. So, but we will discuss that together with the other approaches to bail. Or how the bail provisions were abused for political purposes. So now let's move on to point number 2 in your write-up. that is abuse of the office of the DPP or the Ministry of Justice itself.
Wala mindi lanna tambol me alon ko waranto e tiñarol men ke DPP me alon ko atela marta kitindir lal bela ñaton ko waranto ministry fam me alon ko atela marle luwal ni kitindir ko ñala banko kam.
But prior to that,
Bari janni wo
perhaps we can talk about the office of the DPP in general.
si diamu no pol office wala me alon ko atela be marling DPP wala kitindir lal bela ñaton ko office wala DPP ti
as enshrined in the Constitution.
Constitution ya yitandi ñame.
In your, if you could recollect, would you say that under the laws of this country, the office of the DPP should enjoy quasi-independence?
Ni itala mira loto DPP la office o me alan ko atele marlin kitindir kunyal la banko kanjang ata nyanna office o nyanna kel office le me alan ko abetara loring afaye politiko te duna je nyaton kata da duna je abetara loring afaye ata la ko tawande afaye ko duwa ya ko nyame.
Thank you. Baraka. Having lived through, a period where the office of the DPP was used as the main tool.
Wato mi yalon ko ñin DPP ñin na office woni ya tale kaka joranti
to target or persecute people.
o is blose fudano molma anim fana ka mol kitindi.
I believe that was what informed the provision in the draft constitution
jigida ko wala yatinna fo ye ñin banko la loi bu ko ba mi yalan ko ye wala de daten
to have an autonomous office of the DPP.
min kan lon dirke ñin DPP ñin na office wala fay
Because over time,
abin ka to wato kono nu
like I said, the office of the DPP
min ngafo nu ñami DPP la office
has been at the center
tel ponta to kol tem
of most criminal persecution, so to speak.
jamal bi je mi yalan ko wolle mol mi yalan ko ye ko ku jawol ke pour que kitindi atala office wala fonta sa wo kol tem.
But why do you think
Ya mune ya mira sabu
that the office of the DPP was so amenable or so prone to be used for political persecution?
itala mira do mune ya sabu ke muna fanni office wala memu DPP la office odi ka ke office ti me alon ko politiko la ko ka tamandi ba ko pour ka deto la molka.
In my humble view,
De fond la mira l'autre.
I think a major factor
Amala dalil ba min fon yatinna.
which has made this possible
Mi yatinna fo ñin ko kata no tenga be kere ni ñami.
is the occupation of the office,
Min do ko office o ñin na do ko ñin Kenya.
the occupation of the office,
Min do office o ñin ka do ko ka ñami.
Those who are in that office, those who work in that office,
Mol min ka do ko ka office o ñin kono.
by non-Gambians.
Wol mum mol leti mi yalan ko man ka Gambia dingolti.
Because for the longest time,
Ta meta no ñami.
the DPP of this country
Mo mi yalan ko wala mata kitindi ndol Kenya la ñim banko ka wo wato.
has been a non-Gambian.
Man ka Gambia dingoti.
But post 94,
Bari janin 1994 sango kono.
after
1994 sango kono.
1994, we've had very good non-Gambian prosecutors in this country.
Wato mo kendol so do mi Gambia dingol le mi yalan ko ye
Non
kitindi
Gambian me yalan ko
mi yalan ko man ka Gambia dingol.
But I believe that a lot of non-Gambian prosecutors and DPPs
Ngalo na ko mo jamal bi je mi ay ka kitindiro ke anin DPP mi ay man ka Gambia dingol ti.
were willing to engage in any kind of prosecution.
Ka tarap
Go ahead.
ika tarap pareri na num pour que da dum kitindiro kuna akata no nyaaw nyam.
Notwithstanding the ethical considerations of some of the criminal charges.
Di bukana jiber ka tumirol mi yalan ko ka wolle landi koma be la anya asafo ni nyanta la nyam.
In my view, simply because
Dala jero to ni aje woka ko nyam.
they did not belong to the society
Ida mon tara ko min Gambia dingol kono
whose citizens
mi yalan ko wo banku dingol nying.
were the subject of these prosecutions.
Wolle kata molti mi yalan ko wolle ko wolle kitindi nying kitindiro nying kono.
So it was easy
Woka ngana tana sonia
because you were going to go away after a couple of years or after a few years anyway.
Fatou ko ameta nyawnya sanji dantang nyato wala sanji dantang ye nyato la dron ite be kala molti miyalan ko ebe bola janne.
So there was no risk of you coming back into the society.
Ay ba jala ko hani dalil taraje police na muruna mol kono nyami ni mil besiri.
And basically facing the consequence of some of the decisions you made.
Bisina je ko mi bisenya tilin ko la miliyalan ko yewol kew.
Or some of the prosecutions you engaged in.
Wala ye kitindirol miyalan ko idabulata wala kon.
There was also little empathy.
Kundim fana bije.
There was little empathy.
Wala fandim do bije.
I mean, towards people who were being charged left, right, and center.
Ata mol miyalan ko wolle tumi bulbani mara kata temal.
I believe the Mandinka say balafa belongo le bala.
That is to say that, you know, sympathy is based on the person you know.
So that played a big role. And after some time, the Gambian lawyers who were working at the Ministry of Justice,
Ministry of Justice,
either avoided the criminal division,
criminal division,
or left the ministry. And as a result, most of the prosecutors and the prosecutions ended up in the hands of non-Gambians.
As a former Solicitor General,
Solicitor General
responsible for the administration of the Ministry of Justice, why do you think there was a high attrition rate of Gambian lawyers at the Ministry of Justice?
Gambia loyal mialonko the ministry member loyal nin kidndri kunyala emansiaje.
There was a combination of factors, key among which was the remuneration.
Joro.
Compared to what a lawyer can earn in private practice.
So
a lot of people left to private practice. Paid more. Some people also left because they probably were not happy with the way the system was. And for them, the best way was to leave the ministry. So I would say these two combinations played a role in the high attrition rate at the ministry over the years.
I'm
talking about Gambians shying away from prosecutions. I would take my own example. When I started my career at the ministry, with all humility, I was touted to be a very good prosecutor. I was doing well in criminal prosecutions. In 2006, sometime around May, June, there was a day, on a Friday, when almost everybody had left the office. The then DPP called me.
Name, please.
Fagbele, Emmanuel Fagbele. called me to say that I should stay, beyond the Juma prayers.
Nata fonya ko komin si nganata na fonin jumo tata tambita.
When I asked why,
Kabinga nyininka mun dalile wasab.
he told me that there were some people who were going to be brought to court.
Konya ko molle bije mi yalan ko nyanda ke samba kiti
And these people were the 2006 Ndur Chamku, suspects.
Nyulmu molle te mi yalan ko kon dur cham la wo kudeta bayri ngomin keta wo mol nyi yemil tumi ko da bije wo mol
2006.
I felt very uneasy
wo man fam mutano bagay wala
because it was very irregular
ato mu fenne de mi yalan ka man nyanna ka ke
that people would be brought in
ko mi be mol nati la nan
on a Friday
juma lungola
after Juma prayers.
adara juma solo keta foko pare.
And I didn't know what had happened to them. Not because of, I suspected that something had happened to them as the tortures were usually narrated at that time.
Malong muna ketela de bar komin ya foja nyamen ko komin tajire yal mi yalan ko wolle ketela wo wato kono.
But my conscience
Rim fon hakilo temboto.
didn't really allow me to be part of that process.
Man sondi no brunda bula wo ko kono.
So I went to the DPP.
Nata na murun DPP kan.
I quickly thought about an idea.
Ngam sita dolo ngam mira katabake.
I had known one of the accused persons,
Mo kilimbi je mi yala ya 2 million ngalone.
Aliu Job,
Ika fa Aliu Job.
whose brother was a good friend.
Wala doko wala koto mun na terima kende balji.
And I told the DPP
Nata for DPP nyeko.
that I am conflicted
Dai ko nyenku fulol blatam bulu nyoko
because I've got a brother in this group,
ko ngam mo so mi yalan ko ndoko lemma da bu
that I cannot be part of the team that would be the prosecution on that day.
don tendata bulan mol ko mi yalan ko nyanta ke kitindi wolunga ni
And since then,
abru wo wato ko
I didn't feel easy
man famutano
being in the criminal division.
min katara wo fanna ni ne ka fa criminal division ka mol kitindi ku jaw ke lali ke kitindi dam
I asked for a transfer to the civil division,
nata fo ko prien sawnde dulato mi yalan ko mol mi yala da mol ka dunyole le kitiyo ka ta dam
which was granted.
nata na so wala
So this was something that was regular.
mu fenne di mi yalan ka asike nole
You don't want to be part of that system of prosecuting people that your conscience would intake.
Comme ima ida manya na bulala ka mul kitindi mi yalan ko ta fon ima hakil tenko soto wala karola
You either leave the ministry or you leave the criminal division.
min bije walem ibe tahala ministry do ko wala ye sound ye samba dula do
Do you realize that since Brian Coker of blessed memory, we have not had a Gambian DPP?
Fa hakilo sinyi mudano kabring aboda Brian Coker me alongo alama ala yam fala me kabri aboda je man Gambian DPP masoto jam.
I had actually thought that Fatou was DPP, but maybe she was deputy.
hakilo ya mutako comme fatu bom asike no wo keda DPP ti bari we are for one day
You would know.
From deputy DPP to Solicitor General.
Abo deputy DPP no langola kana solicitor general.
So that's right. The absence of Gambian DPPs, I think, played a big role in the utilization of that office. Gambians would have found it more difficult.
comme bari Gambian dingol wal mantara je comme ka DPP ti wala fonga yatina fon natara no Gambian dingol bije wo fon be ko ko lamdi lanom
Because they would have to really live with decisions that they made with people that they live with.
kato foye ye lo ye kuntundir ke fonga la mol mi yalan ko ni wala benda
All right. But can you just expand a little bit more
Isa fanu
on
binye do bandi nyaadi lam.
how the office of the DPP was abused
DPP line
for
office
political ends?
Ning DPP line office woni ye lana tambe ko ke ñu je nyaadi le pour politique wala nafala ita kan.
Certainly, the office of the DPP
min DPP ni na office ni
asked very little questions
ni karin din bijede semin ken
with regards to cases that had some political interest.
comme kata kesi so la wala diamol de mi yalan ko politique ko le dabije
With regards to whether to initiate a prosecution or not.
ka jiberke fo to nya nyanta ka dadle ke kitindiro ke fo hani
So at the end of the day,
mu ko mu labandula dorom
In some cases, not all,
diamo dol bi je golen cases solti
the decision to prosecute
ka kuntundir ke ka foko be kitindilal
was not entirely a legal one.
amanke fenti miyalan ko ba fla bebe lare loi la fanala kam.
That is a real condemnation of the system.
muku kula de me alongo bantambilo nyen na kala ko to le system woni na karo
Or a really damning proposition that the decision to prosecute was not a legal one.
ko ka kangota pour ka mo
Not entirely
kiti dol
illegal.
beje
Not entirely a legal one.
ko ka foko ko dol beje pour ka kangota pour ka mo kiti dol beje bu ka sutara sujiri ni loi.
Could you kindly expand on that? What were the considerations or the other considerations?
Faisa kata ba yeje fanu ndinye do man dimba mun ko le akulle katara chokiri ngol bala ning adra o kansi faltar men ya longo kam ka mo kiti ndi bari amandra sujiri ni loi.
No, like I said, if, for instance, Jame
Comme nga fo nyami comme sa misalongoto jamme
was adamant that somebody should be prosecuted,
balanta kar ka foko mo nyimo kari fo yakitindi
he would give instructions to the Attorney General,
abe kuma kongol futandela ya marol futandela attorney general ma
which would be passed on to the DPP.
o kuma kongol ni ba futandela DPP ma
And unfortunately, the DPPs would not stand their ground.
and wakang DPP to lo simpa da tanola
No, they would not stand their ground,
ito lo no la komi nyanta lo lamentala
really argue
pour ka sosondir ke
strict legal basis,
wala mi yalon ko wala tata loi fanala
as long as they've got the signal.
atara ye sabinde wo kola
But this was a case that, the presidency was interested in.
mi ni mudi amulete mi yalon ko president o nying ay sulo so dojede
And these directions
Ni silo yamarol men
to prosecute,
pour ka mo kiti ni.
in which form would they normally take?
Jama e kanani ni sila nyaadi de la.
Well, generally, I believe this would be oral directives.
ni a be jibe comme wato do biji akaka dalete re ka fole
It's very rare to find a written directive,
akakole abakele priya kuma ko je mi yalon ko ye ya marol di ya be safari
although it does happen. I
Okay.
want to believe it does happen.
la tala ko ko ka
But most times it would be probably the Attorney General being called over to the State House.
bari mo sinya jamal bi je min ka ka atoni general la kumandi man sala ko dato
And they're given instructions.
woto ye ya marol di ala nyanta min kala
Do you think
Ya mira
that the fusion of these two functions
ni bunda fulol la tamandiri nya.
played a role in getting our attorneys generals to be compliant?
Ni bunda fulol pour ye tamande minister ka membe mare luwal nin kitindiri kunyalla.
That is the fusion of the function of attorney general and function of minister of justice.
Wala minister attorney general and minister of justice ni bunda fulol ni ni tamande akam fo ika ya mira ko ni deta kan ika sondiro ku ika tamande kendirino ku do la me alongo ido lafita la nyamemba.
It played the most significant role.
atala ka do go kuma imbe atala ka
Because one role, Minister of Justice, would be political.
Atom bunda killing wala fanna killing ni ajwe minister me alongo atela mara luwal nin kindo political la karo.
And the role of Attorney General should be an independent public function.
Andu ni ajwe attorney general law do ko be kala bunda me alongo nyanna kila bunda me nyanna tar lorin afaye.
So when you fuse these two functions, the political tends to override,
Ni nyim fulol ta ye ka funyo ma political la bina sela la nyin do ta kan.
simply because that one same person
So ne ya kan
becomes
ka
a political appointee.
so ne ya kan ka wo mo killing nyi memu minister tim wala me ya alongo ya tombon political la karol.
Could you shed more light on
Fo
it?
si je fanu ni nyaba.
Oh, certainly, I think you've said it all.
ngamira ite ya be fole de
Because really, the fusion of the two roles
ka to gon tonya nying do ko fulol nying ni bulata nyokono
certainly led to, politically exigent decisions.
wala kenatina fo politiko la kuntundiro nyi wala ka tara santo
Over legal considerations
ina jibe wala ka tara loi la ko kam
in some cases.
wato dol bije
So certainly, in a situation where The two roles are separate.
Sa woto mosa foko ni wati soto da miyalon ko nyin do ko flol mi nyin yebe fatandi nyola
With adequate guarantees of independence.
du inatana itandiri ko itol mo kiliwo kilibe lole fayne yela do ko ke fay fenda
That would probably help
wobe makoro kala no baka
in the basically distinguishing legal issues from the political.
sajo ko wobe makoro kala ka fatam fansi keno ko la miliyalon ko wolle tata luwala fannala anin ko la miliyalon ko wolle tata politiko la fannala.
I understand that
ñim faamle ko
O'Brien Coker
O'Brien
of blessed
Coker.
memory
Kama
last
ayam
occupied that position of DPP in 1978.
e palaso ñinta labanda je 1978 sangole kono na kake DPP di
That's a long, long
Yes,
time.
indeed.
sanji jam baldi ko ma wo mira bakele
Metale.
And I don't think we're really short of lawyers who could occupy that position of DPP.
ma mira ñinna ko be loyal so mi alon ko be talo pat o makamo ñin ka palaso ñinta
We are not short of lawyers.
On fo loyal
In fact,
katu ko fam
after the change of government,
bru wato min na mansa kunda nyim falinda
because of this abuse of the office of DPP that occurred,
katu ko nyin kanko nyin DPP nyin na office ni kalanda tambe do ko mi yala ko wala ka keje
during the Jammeh regime,
wato mi yala ko jamabe mararola
the Attorney General, Abubakar Tambedu,
attorney general nyin Abubakar Tambedu
made it a point of duty
akala do koti
to make sure
ka jeko
that the office of DPP
DPP la office nyin
is occupied by a Gambian.
mo la nyanda taraje mi yala ko Gambia dingole mati
Unfortunately,
ya manna keno wanyama do
the position was advertised twice.
ye wo do ko nyin inata na ke fendi mi ya janjan de la promo sata ka kankula
But Gambian lawyers were not interested.
Gambia la loya dingoli to mang
sulo
sulo soto je
And that is why,
wala ya tinna
despite the office being a constitutional office,
atara ko nyin luwale nyin office o nyin londi
the position was not filled
isani wo be wo doku dolanya hani sai mom mo so day mom
since
kala
2017
kabrin 2017 sango ko
because the motivation was
kato mi o tinna wala nyinti ko
that we should get a Gambian.
nyanta Gambia dingole kelaje
Because we couldn't get a Gambian,
atuko bari man Gambia dingo soto no
the position remained unfilled.
so wo dinkira bo nyamare mo
Maybe
so
it's an opportunity to, appeal to our learned brothers and sisters
askenyi mbek sekeno wato ti la pour que danirke na mole miliyalon ko wolle londo soto dole loyalty
to take up the opportunity,
pour que nyin do ko wonyinta
even though it comes with less financial rewards
nyin kam fam aya telefon de pass ba man taraje
than the private legal practice.
ka foko doron ha mbatunga ta do ko kem faye loya yala karola
Because it's one of the hallmarks of our sovereignty.
atu wo mo dinkira ti miliyalon ko wole baytan le control bem faye ne lotanom faye
Sometimes it's actually embarrassing
wato dol bi ya ka kam malu balti
when you travel outside
ni findira Gambia banko kam
and inform or tell people that DPP is a non-Gambian.
ka fo molye wala ka mol kam la mutandiko ndo la DPP nya man ka Gambia dingoti
So it goes to our national pride.
wo mo penati mi an ko ndol banko dingo nya ta kala nya bunya fengoti
That constitutional offices should be occupied by Gambians.
wo luwa wo do ko dula mi an ko luwa le ya londi Gambia dingo le nya tataran je
And if you raise this very important point,
ni
that the
kumba bale
fact that they were non-Gambians make them more likely to be compliant with the visits of the executive.
ñing kamala ko baay koy manke Gambia nolde asike no be kera molle de mene ya lon ko be sonna ya jamela ku dianye ko la telefa men la
Be they legal or extra legal.
fo ay ayo kangol mendi fo ini luwa tara le bang fo ini luwa man da bang bari to batala
My colleagues have just sent me this interesting example.
de do ñoo do fe la jang mi alon ko ay misal ya nya bori ngo kinje jang
And I'd like you to comment on it.
mbela fle kuma fo ala kuma kan
Mrs. Mariam Denton was acquitted
ya bula
of charges by Justice Monaghan.
ya bula tumiro la mem ya mela kan andu me ya bula tumiro kan wala justice muna gente
That should extinguish the case at least until an appeal has been launched, isn't it? But I do, according to the information received,
ko kibaro nga men soto jang
Fagbele immediately
fagbeli tariyarinke
stood up and objected to release on the ground that
awulita balanta pour bularola ni dalilo kan
they had fresh charges
Wait,
of treason against her,
barata tumir kutolle so me ka fa treason wala jamfa jawoti
which were not, in fact, before that judge.
me ya lon ko tumirol fan wato la manta kidite la ni nyaati mo fan
The judge just courageously stood her ground.
ye jojo nyin rong ye tembe dar nyin do o ala daniro nyin kan anatna o ala be daniro nyin londe
What do you have to say about that example?
itibe mun soto la be mem folo misalo fe mem fo jande
I have two responses.
na jabir fula le soto
One is
ilim munyina diko
Justice Monaghan probably did that.
justice mun again I work le drum
Not probably. They was able to do that
I work no le
because he was a Commonwealth judge.
ate mum wolde mi alon ke ka fo kitindir la le mi ala be commonwealth la koto
And so she had all the assurances of independence.
so inata wala tinna ya itandala ko kate ya ba fan soto la bala do ko kala anu hani fenda to bula la koto
And during her tenure here,
wo wato mi abe do ko ke ganjang
she did make a lot of very independent and sound judgments.
wo kanga nata kiti te jamal le ke milia lon ko wo kiti te lote fayne hani fenna dama bula kon
Regardless of whose horse was God.
hanata la fanga man jiber ke fo jumale da bije wala min dati je
Second response
na jabir fulan jangoni
is that a Gambian DPP
gambia no mi yalan ko wolen kiti la nyaton koti
would not have done that to a senior legal practitioner of the Gambia.
wota wo nyim kusifal kala mola mi yalan ko loya balem nyim banko kanja
So that goes to explain my earlier explanation.
mu fenati mi yalan ko abe yitandiro kala nga dantirol min kenu jam foloke
The nationality of the DPPs
wolem comme ñin DPP ol ñing mum banku ding le moytu
played a big role
fukata kulati mi ala ko mata ba
in some of the decisions they were making.
ñin kuntun drol mi yalan ko yolle ke kiti bundato
But also the nature of the contract
wato bari wato
that the person had
bari hanin kabi fa o mari nyin fanan contract ko nyin men ditala anni ajubi abe lari nyame
also played a role.
fanay lafa ran ke je
Justice Monaghan
justice monagin
was not so compliant simply because he was a Commonwealth judge and, as you said, had all the protection.
aketa molde me ya lonko ama mantra maroko to ko ya fo nyame ama lual ni sartol men dira la kabra be juddo ko dira la ya tandala ko ebe fanye ne isila kangol tankunduno ya kundwa ya fo nyame
The same could have applied to the DPP or the state council, foreign state council who are with the Ministry of Justice.
o ko kilo fana nyanda la DPP kan waranto state council banko la kitindir la kan me ya lonko be do ko ke kan mansay
What was the difference?
minam fato dije
There was something interesting
ubi jele mi yalan ko akumata bade
about the foreign technical assistance that came to Gambia.
le molti milialan ko banku kote molle milialan ko ina dana banko nyin dema
Some of them
wol kono dolbi je
were working with their governments,
ni la masa kundal le be do ko la
and basically they were civil servants in their countries,
so ni nata jibe mo molle ti mi yalan ko be do ko la masa kundal le koto
and they were sent here on technical assistance.
so ina tane kina jam priye na demar ka dol la jam
But some of them
bari dolbe kono
were not working with the governments of their countries.
ni man tara do ko ke kan anila masa kundal mi yalan ko wolle kina jam
They were handpicked
ye tombonne
and brought to the Gambia.
ye natina Gambia banko ka
So they did not have the assurance of, employment with their government back home.
so ibajala ko ile masa kunda mi yalan ko wole be ye wole to kom e wol man litandir kela ko ile ye ta do ko mi na ba kala finenta ambe taral lorine
So that also played a part.
fana kata fonati mi yalan ko woda kata jele
Because for somebody like Fagbele,
do mom yalan ko joga fak bele misalo la karola
we are talking about,
e kam fote
he was not a Nigerian government employee.
manke moti mi yalan ka be do ko ke kam Nigeria man sakundale koto
He was sent here on technical assistance
ya kina janne prana de maro ke banko kanja
contract.
komin contrat wala ka wati kono
He was a private practitioner in Nigeria.
Would
Would the duration of the contract, in fact, have a role in getting these people to be compliant?
Contract ko nyin na wato nyin fo fanam be kala kula de me alon ko abe la faran kala kudo me alon ko nyimu nyin do kulaldi pour yesong man salaka man zaiba.
Certainly. I mean, the chances of extension of the contract depended on your, performance in the eyes of the person holding the last pen to the contract renewal. So obviously, if you wanted your contract to be extended, you would have to play ball.
Did Gambia government really have much of a choice on the quality of state council who are sent to Gambia on technical assistance?
For Gambia masakunda for ye fero sore le bamburka tama ni mo la mialan ko ke kina njampuri na de maroke masa Gambia masakunda la kitio la karola ba.
I believe there is an English saying that a beggar has no choice. Technical assistance request in simple terms was begging. So Gambia government did not have the opportunity to vet. So to refuse persons sent by another country on technical assistance.
And with that, we got the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Indeed.
To the detriment of the public service.
Correct.
And the quality of some of these lawyers. Can you comment on that? Seeing we could not beg a gift horse from the man, we had no choice but to accept whatever we were saying. Tell us something about the quality.
Certainly, some of them were extremely good. And some came to Gambia to improve themselves. And some were even untrainable.
No. On what?
Some could not be improved upon. The quality was bad in some cases.
What do you think can be done to really improve this system, considering, of course, that for the foreseeable future we may continue to require technical assistance? What can we do to improve the quality of lawyers we receive on technical assistance? And the terms and conditions in which they serve us as a state.
Certainly the ideal situation
okay, the best situation.
exactly. I mean, would be to have our own,
Walen kam fon sta soto.
like all sovereign African countries.
Komi Africa banku to mal be ye fan sta soto no nyami.
And of course, the Gambia Law School
Andu yajo ko nyin Gambia la karambunda nyi ka fay law school.
is continuously contributing to that,
Wo be continue kan ron karafar ke wo karola.
to make us self-sufficient in the legal profession.
A joko ndol fon ngam fan silen sitam fayen ni nata luala karola.
But until such a time
But fo jani wo wato
that all the products of the law school would mature,
fo jani ba fula mol mi yalon ko wolle bota wo karan lo nyin do fo jani ba londo nyin sax yaal ngo sotola.
and to become seasoned lawyers,
Yana ke loyalty mi yalon ko yela do ko no le ya lonne fana.
maybe one way of improving on the quality of the technical assistance we receive
Ya yo komi pour ka la farke komi ngo ma demaro mi soto na ka komi technical assistance mi ya ngo le soto na.
is to probably, I mean, set the standards of experience, education, and competence that we expect to receive.
Wala mo ko ti mi yalon ko londo la karola andun ye kuol min ke mi yalon ko do ko la karola ngul anin londo la karola fo pro e ke fendi mi yalon ka se ken to le fendi mi abon na fa.
But Mr. Martin, you realize
Marina,
that in the previous dispensation,
yen kala muta ko wadu man sakunda men ben janko kunu
the issue of minimum qualification for positions was observed more in its breach than in its honor.
pour mola makamo pour ni ala makamo amari nyana ni palaso kankula amari nyana makamo men sorla
Or was more honored in its breach than in its observance.
ka korosi ni nya menna ani membe fana be kerinje i ka fatale.
That is correct.
Wala.
So would you suggest that insistence on minimum standards
Rebe yin fulala ko pour ama hanna ma besi bari hanna maka amari nyina makamo nyin ala lodla nyin na tembedar
insistence on merit
nyin tala tunkula ning amari nyina kaito nyina bete yalla
is key to this.
onang la farangon ti nyinto.
Certainly, that's what I meant by, I mean, setting certain minimum standards that people who come in to help us should have.
Anko wala foten komi mol mi yalon ko binam makola wo londo la karola nyanta londo min sotola.
It's been suggested that
Miro dita ko
Justice Isauko,
Justice Isauko
also in the Hamadba case, stood his ground on refusing to comply with the wishes of the executive.
afanal lota Hamad Bala case to pour wala nyindi ko kangomen dita la pour aya tamandi Hamad Bala case to abalanta wala
And the view is that
ko menti wala nyindi ko
he too was the judge too was a Commonwealth judge.
men fara wala nyindi da fana mu Commonwealth jojo walti.
True.
So the nature of the contract the person received played a big role.
Munta o mari nyingi contrat ko min dia la nya la ku ko men be je ku la nya nyingi o fana mu kula de mi alon ko akala faranke la kuotol.
Not only the nature of the contract,
Man ka doron komi do ko nyin dita la sartol min kan doron dit.
but I think the appointing authority also
Bar nga njikita fana ko mol mi yalon ko wolle fonga ya ta do ko la.
would be equally important,
Fana ka kuma jele.
because obviously with an institution like the Commonwealth,
Ato ni ajibe dinkira do ko la min joko ko Commonwealth
you can be assured of not being unlawfully terminated.
ba bamban le mal ko ite bayla do ko la ndatara man ka luwa kan.
If it's a Gambia government contract,
Na dara Gambia masakunda wolle wo do ko nyin dila.
I mean, the contract is as good as the paper it was written on.
Kontra go nyin ka betala komi ya kaito minta ya safani kaito.
You could be terminated at any moment.
Ise bayno le wati wo wati kon.
With regards to the position of DPP, of course,
Kasuji ning han ka bi DPP la office wala han zain.
has the Ministry of Justice considered
Ministry
Terms.
marlen lual nin tilngola fo ka ke kusonson de bang.
the terms and conditions of service?
Wala nyinti amari nyini ata do gola nyanna bulala sartol nin tamande bulol men no ma fo ka ministry nyin kala mutandi la folo bang o mari nyina palaso nyina.
Because the position of DPP should ordinarily well, the qualifications for position of DPP should ordinarily be, at least as a minimum, that of Court of Appeal judge.
Adun DPP office oni afuta nyaaw nyarande nyam ala londo la kalso kam ala makamu anyanda kam mensura londo la karola anyanda kila makam londo la timia lon ko be kayto mensura be kala jojo la qualification kilingol tiga.
So if the conditions of service are not as attractive, definitely.
So ibaje la woro ninga adra sartol ñimi alon ko ye wala dandi o palaso ñi naka ninga adra manke sartol mi alon ko ay mo kontan.
It would be difficult to attract the qualified people.
Abe koleala la pour mol men ya lon ko yow
at least qualified Gambians.
Abe koleala la pour mol me ya lon ko Gambia dingol del misal fe me ya lon ko ya londo ni a karango sota pour yow palaso ñi ya ñini.
That is very correct.
Omo toñalti.
In fact, one of the successes
Am fam kol mi alan ko wala fon kata no fa.
of the former Attorney General,
Wala kata ku Attorney General tino nunto
Tambedu,
ka fam ya Tambedu
was the approval
wala nata song
to improve upon the terms and conditions
o min kala far ke wala tamandir bulol mi alan ko wala nyanta tala sartol
of all state council,
min tata karola mi alan ko wala banko la loyal nyinti
the Ministry of Justice,
min tata Ministry of Justice la karola
and basically to be at par with that of the judiciary.
donc isa de ko isa tembendi no anin judiciary la karola.
So the DPP's office, as you've rightly said,
Mi yafo no nyamin DPP la office oni
the terms and conditions are now pegged at that of a Court of Appeal judge.
sartol mi yalan ko ye wala landije ni ajibe anin Court of Appeal coming Court of Appeal kitindir lañi ani wala makamo be tembe
And this has been there since January 2020.
ñin tarra jere kabrin January karo kono 2020
And the possibilities of national continued legal education would also help.
Wala ñindi fanam bu ka tenten ka banku be karandiro ke wala ñindi ko luwala karola o fanam be kala kulet mi anon ko be de maro kala.
Certainly, I believe that is a responsibility that lies not just with the Ministry of Justice,
lata ko wo moddo kulete mi yalan ko ado manke ko be Ministry of Justice da male bulude
but with the General Legal Council of the Gambia
bari ka fo mi General Legal Council Gambia
and the Bar Association,
ni ka fo mi Bar Association loyal la bundato
because continuous legal education,
ato ko ka continue ka karandir ka loi bundala karola
as it happens in more advanced jurisdictions,
ka kele dulato mi yalan ko wala yuruwa tambita dolti
is applicable to all practicing lawyers.
dum anyanta ka ke mo bele mi yalan ko be mo moleti mi yalan ko loyal le mo ti be loyal do ko la.
In fact, in many jurisdictions, you would have a proficiency test in order to maintain your eligibility to practice.
Jama banko dol mi alon ko wolke mari koto bole fam pour isa jago janni be la o palaso ni iba tuno la je waranto jani ba soto la
Which we do not have in this country.
ndun tol mo so ni banko kan
Once a lawyer, always a lawyer.
ikera lawyer to dong itamu lawyer.
Yep. It's true.
Mo to nyaaki
So now let us move on to the issue of political interference
Idangata politiko la da buloto ko
in the justice sector.
wala ministry bunda de me alon ka
Say
tamari
in the
dual
judiciary, to
ngafu
be more precise.
ngafu telo ngafu kidi bundal do.
I do know
Ngani lonko
that Gambia has been said to have mercenary judges.
Gambia jojo dara sama ya lonko jojo jojo tilimbalol lam jojo le alan ko ka do ko ka da fulol la.
We have heard that in both political and legal circles
Nga moy politiko la karola anin loi la karola fana nga moy nyin karafulol be la
for a long time.
wati jang
Can you tell us about that?
fo ci kuma fono nyawoto ba.
Was the accolade deserved and why?
Well, I mean, like you rightly stated,
ko mi yafo nyami
this was a terminology
ni mo kuma kanete mi yalan ko
that was coined to refer to certain judges
ko mi ka fole ika jodi kitindir la dole chodi wo kuma kan la
and mostly foreign judges.
dunia jibe bake ka mil chodi wo kuma kan la bake wala nyin kitindir la de mi ay boda banku ko tan kay nata jang.
And these were judges who were not necessarily sent on technical assistance.
duñul fon kata kitindir la le de milliard ko man ko ye kinan ne priena makoro ka gambe mon sakundal.
But who came here on their own
wali keke molle de mila ko fon le nate faye jang
with legal qualifications
ya tara ye londo sodo loi la karola
and probably little alternatives
nga tara ye
employment.
mon ku jamal sodo e semin tano ni nata do ko fanna la karola.
And when they were appointed as judges
Sa ni kabi wato me nate ta pour ye ke kitindir la
and given all the pecs of office,
nata na ko be di la ko nyima be di la mi ala ko nyanta wala sodo office sodo
they would do anything
ka wokang ibe fon fe nekala
to please the people who gave them those contracts.
saje ko ise more condamné ni milliard ko wolle wo do ko di la wo wi chokon.
And who would be that?
Walka ke jumati.
Because the appointing authority for judges is the president.
wala molti milliard ko wolle ka joji ni kitindir la tombon wala president.
And so, yes, I mean, if you look at some of the decisions that were made by certain judges and magistrates,
Sa ni nata jibe kitindiro wala kuntundiro dol mi alan ko kitindir la la yake milliard ko e ka fo e jojo dol bi magistrate le moyti.
I mean, you could say it was a justified tag.
Iba isa fo no kule mi alan ko yakele andu ye dalilo sotala
Be called a mercenary judge.
pour ye commande ka fo ko nulmu kitindir lalle te milliard ko ye jole pour ye na kitindiro ke nyama mi yalan ko millier natina jang wala millier ta do ko lefte ye kitindiro ko wala nyama.
Kindly give examples.
Zalo dinna ba.
Well, I mean, there were judges here who, like Justice Paul, for instance.
Comme kitindira tata nun jang misalo do mil joko Justice Paul
I mean, who everybody believed was very close to the presidency.
wo wato ko mo jamale lata ko kasu diata nun president la bak.
Another interesting choice of words. Close to the presidency, you're referring to an institution. You're not saying close to the president, referring to the person.
Kapo fana karata president wala fana mgudu kuma kan ne miano kuma kan nyabori mbale.
In this case, I'm using it as a single entity.
Kaya nyindo ba fo kan comme dinkra mi ko do ko dinkra clip nam dorom.
He was close to Yaya Jammeh.
Katata nu Yaya Jammeh
Ha.
Why did you say that?
Mune ya sabu ite wofo.
I have never seen him,
Nana maje
but I have heard,
ngamwele
just like everybody did here,
comme mobe ya mo nyamin jang.
that he would even go to Kanilai during the weekends.
To fon kata fon ka kata kanila fon weekend ko.
And so,
What nationality was he?
Boda banku jumale.
Justice Paul was a Nigerian.
Justice Paul mo Nigeria dingolti.
A judge going to the home of the president?
Jojo kiti kundrinda membe alon kabe kiti bumbado kata president wala kordado.
That was the rumor in town.
Molka wala ngunu sate ko not.
Wow. And could you tell us about some of the cases that he presided over?
Foyese kiti dandanu foyna jam bam me alon ko asit adal side kunaba.
Maybe the most obvious one would be the Baba Job case.
Nsa fo no min fo mo be million wala baba job la diamo watoti ala case.
What can you tell us about that case?
Si mun tesi mun fono nyawoto ko.
Well, I mean, he's the one who presided over the case.
Tele kata kitindir lati mi yalan ko wala wo case nyinta
Convicted him,
loi ya blo la kam
and I believe sentenced him to up to 9 years in prison or so.
lata ko anata na sorong mintata sanji kononto kasoto.
Yes.
And your belief is that, well, it's not out of the ordinary that a judge sentences an accused person. That is normal. That is what judges do. So why do you cite this as an example?
No, I mean that is the probably most famous case that he had presided over. So,
wala nyindiko nyine kata diamo te mi yalan ko ate fon le kata kiti telati and wala darajata mole wala long bake.
What makes it famous? Is it the personality who was charged, or is it the violations of rights that punctuated that case?
Mune ya sabu ke wala dia mo nyibawa job lo case ni aketa case mi an ko daraja ta baga fo mola me an ko ata aba ki joni kono bam fo warando fo tumir de bundal men lata kan wala case ni wala daraja di baga bam.
It was a combination of the two.
Nyaji be aflo belem.
Because obviously everybody knows that Baba Job
Atu mobe yalo nako wato Baba Job
was probably one of the most powerful men in the country at the time.
wato kuna kita adabulata molle kono milan ko wolle mo sembe manti nyimbanko kanjam.
So to basically drag him to court
Ibajela ko ka muta ka samba kiti dulato
was a big national event.
wakala fena banku be kulem.
And of course it was during that case
Do wato kono kabri wodiamo be kerinen
that his lawyer,
la lawyer ni
Usman Silla,
afomi Usman Silla
was had an attempt on his life.
e pareta non pour ka niota
And a lot of people believe
no mo jamal lata ko
that was as a result of his defense of Baba Job.
nyaaje wo mi wo sababu ndi wala nyindi ko alo tale pour ka Baba Job bondi e tumirol min laka.
But of course, Mr. Usman Silla
Bari han ka bi Mr. Usman Silla
was not the only lawyer for
da mama
Mr.
ke
Baba
lawyer
Job.
pour mel lota Baba Mr. Baba Job yo wato.
Do you recall who else represented Baba Job?
Foi hakilo sa mutano na nga bora Mr. Usman Silla la lawyer jumala fana lota afi.
There was a big team of lawyers,
A lawyer jamal lebenunje
but my party stands out
bar my fati wo yo londi kanala
as also one of the lawyers in that case.
da be bulata lawyer kono le mil ben wodiamo kono.
There was an attempt to assassinate
Ngani yo soto dal no pour ka
Farke
farke
Mr. Usman Silla.
Mr. Usman Silla pour ka fa.
Do you know if anything happened to Mr. Fatou?
Fo yala na fo ku soron la ba me yala ko wala fanan keta Mr. Fati la ba.
Mr. Fatou was also involved in a near fatal accident.
Mr. Fati fana adabulata nung accident o kono de mi yalan ko accident kolem balem
I believe on the Senegambia highway.
lata ko akata nun Senegambia sila bale kam.
And suddenly, I believe he has said that he also believes
And ate fana ya fole ko ka lata le ko
it was not a real accident,
manke fendi mi yalan ko doro lanjini accident ole
but it was an attempt on his life.
bari yakele doron pour ka niyo pour ka fa yake wala kama.
The commission received evidence that Baba Job himself was executed.
Comme so ngoy se dandiro soto yanko Baba Job fon mo le me yala ko iya faale.
By the junglers at the RVTH.
Andu mel yo kala wollem jongulal di ya kala dami to wolto na bankola lopitan bado di RVH.
But not only that,
Bara amanke wodrom fanande.
commission also received evidence
Comme so ngoy se dandiro fanan soto.
that he had finished serving his term
O luwa es bulo men muto men kala wollem sanji kono dodi ay wala le fa ya bang.
of imprisonment. Still, he was not released
Kasoro andum hanin kabi imason na kabula.
and held in prison unlawfully.
Nata na ka sabatindi kasoro je luwanta yaka.
What do all those facts put together indicate to you?
Woto kuma ko be me an ko wala lata kan way mun tay ndi tela.
Well, I think they indicate that his case was a very politically motivated case.
Ngam mutala ko wala ngamira ko ikala diamonye wala la case nyindi ak komi politiko da bulata kono no bakele.
It was not simply a case of owing the customs and the ports
Manke
charges and duties.
manke nun doron ti ko ka foko anyanta joru kala custom le anyanta ko dole jola no ji anim porota manke no wodoronti
Which was the major tenor of his charges.
ni ajibe ya tumi min fon la je wala fon gina warta je manke.
And the interference
Dabulo.
with the judiciary.
Dabulo me ka ke kitindir bundal.
Could you, as far as you know, tell us how that was done?
At fanyam bang wo keno nyaadi la ni tela londo de mel lonje. Ke dabulo me ke na kitindir bundal.
I never worked with the judiciary,
Nanin kiti di bunda mang doko kade
but we've heard stories,
bari nga kuma ko ngol moy la fana
directives being given to judges,
min walen president o ka yamarro di kiti ndir lala
and basically judges being compromised.
katina kitindi lali nyanta kila doko kan nyama mboka keno.
Compromised how?
Compromise ke sondi nyadi.
Basically to either convict
Wala nyinti ko ye sorong luaye muta.
or to impose sentences that are beyond reasonable.
Wala kes kafo ko luaya bulole kan nyanta kila kasolto nyala miyala ko ni ajibe wo fonga manyana kake.
But we understand,
at
least from statements,
that
the NIA actually infested
the
High Court during some of these politically charged trials.
Yes, certainly.
What would be the impact of that on judges?
In my view, I mean, I would not say that the presence of the NIA in the court premises
was
the factor that played on the minds of judges. Because these were operatives who probably people didn't even know were NIA agents. I think they were there just to report on the atmosphere and basically who was there and who was not there, to show solidarity to people who were charged, probably. I don't think that's where the influence on judges came from, in my humble view.
But within their open presence, help indicate executive interest and therefore instill fear on the minds of judges.
Like I said, I do not think that these were people who were openly recognized or known by everybody to be NIA, unless if the judge probably has some other way of finding out or knowing. Because these were low-level operatives, like I said.
Human rights reports suggest that in several cases, a judge would receive a call and would come out of chambers and hand down a ridiculous decision. The commission has heard of court-martial's pronouncements by judges indicating that there is no evidence against a particular person. The judge receives a call and soon after comes back and sentences the person who just moments ago had no evidence against him, but is sentenced to long terms of imprisonment.
Yes, those were stories that we all had, and and there is no reason to believe that they were not true. Knowing the nature of some of the judges.
Can you expand on that? And I underline the nature of some of these judges.
Benyi nune la kuma kan ka ko ni jojo idolu ila Kenya Benyamin.
I believe we spoke about the tag of mercenary judges.
Jigita ko ndiamuta nu janne wala kiti teral mi yalan ko ke jole pour kiti te nyala mi yalan ko milieta do ko le lefta ye kiti te wala nyama.
I mean, who had no compunction to do things that will please the president.
Even
Even if they do not receive directives. Less of when they have received directives.
We have received information about a magistrate Kayode.
Magistrate Kayode
who imposed outrageous bail conditions.
Men ya lonko ay ki beliri sartol mi alonko ay woldel bondi mi alonko bel sarti sangar limbal,
which were clearly unattainable by the suspects who were brought before him.
Me ya lonko o mari nyim fam tumir mo nyi me alonko bringo beliri sartol nyi karanta e o keta beliri sartile me alonko sangara bata o tumir mo yen
such as
membe ko
requiring a former retired inspector general of police to come and give bail, sign a bail bond for you, or a former CDS of the army.
Magistrate bail sarto mendi follow ay mendi wala mindi ko membe bail la jaita tumiri mo abe kala molti me ya lonko anana keta police la nyaton ko rikaf me IGP waranto ay ke moti me ya lonko anana keta soldier la nyaton ko rikaf me CDS
or a permanent secretary
waranto ay ke moti me ya lonko anana keta permanent secretary.
Onerous conditions that he knew that the suspect would not be able to satisfy.
Andung ata kiti tela nyi ayo lonne ko tumiri mo nyi ate o bel result to men di yala ate ya lonne ko tumiri mo nyi ate ol timmandi no ate ma fano la,
which in reality would amount to constructive denial of bail.
Wala nyindi ko don fero don ayo la tendela katung wala nyindi abalantela don ka bail di yala.
Yes, I believe that was part of the systematic, desire to deny people bail who are facing the most trivial of offenses.
Lata ko kuol tartanun lari wala nyama do ko ga wala nyama no wato pour que mol bali milialon ko imam pare pour wala bail sota anda traye samba kiti wala.
If I recall right,
natara hakilo sa mano kendeke
even the Honorable Halifa Sallah faced such onerous bail conditions in one of the trials that he was subject to. As you've rightly stated, that is basically saying you are given bail, but you will not go free.
And it's also alleged that some would do the most outrageous, as in admitting confessionary statements that were not even signed by independent witnesses, and a judge in question is Abeke.
Mudol fawol beje me alon ko ka tumiro lega ka kuma kan sotebul me alon ko sotebul detolo kon andu ni samba kiti wala bana o tumiro nyim fan dol beje me alon ko ben ko woni nin ka jojo do membe ko magistrato ka fa Abeke.
In the case of William John Juve,
misal fe ki mo kilin beje ala case ka fa me William John Juve.
Are you aware of that?
Ayo kala mutala ba.
I can't recall. What I can say is that there was a trio of magistrates.
Mosaba.
Who were notorious, bending all known rules of procedure, or impose outrageous sentences. You've identified Abeke. You've identified Kayode. I think there's another one called Magistrate Alagbe. And like I said, these are all people who are I would be allowed to use that word hustlers.
Safo no nyul be mo mollete mi yalan ko natare sembula no jeda ko mi ka kul tamande nyama ni silo bukata.
They were hustlers.
Hustlers, okay.
They were not technical assistants.
Manke molde mi yalan ko komi ye kina jene pour yena demaro ni.
So probably that explains
In
Over-
fact, Abeke
kabi abeke
and Alagbe
aning alagbe
are reputed to have remanded everybody arranged before them.
a fotala ko momo moron yalan ko ye tumi ye nati tol nyati lingola ike samba mal tulu wala ke samba rima
Especially in cases where there was the slightest tinge of executive interest.
surtout me yalan ko tumi do ke so dol me yalan ko o mare ni ya nati nyati lingola andu so bo beje ko executive la na sulo beje wala mi santon ko te masala karola wala sulo so ta kes ni konol jama jama o mare ni ka samba rima ne folo
Like I said, I wouldn't put anything past them.
Komi na
Were they that bad?
Yes.
e jawata wala nyama ba
ha
I would not be able to confirm each and every one of the cases that they handled,
komi ta senandi no la komi tol mo killing ye diamol min tanu.
but I won't deny anything that I hear which is outrageous that they did.
Bari nde balanna kula mi yalan ko to le wala ka wala landa tambe kolti.
It is even suggested that as judges they took direct instructions
And
from
you further
former
follow-
Chief Justice Ajim
ko nyim futala fanan ko tumala mene tol be mu joji ibe joji mu joji woltinu ika kangota former chief justice le wala ajimti
on disposition of cases.
wala minti be kitio dol kuntula nyame
Like I said, I won't put anything past them.
Komi na fanya min te balanna kula mi yalan ko ya fuela karola.
So you're suggesting therefore that they were so bad.
amunta ita kam fola nyilti ko ket mollal kidi telal le mutu mealon ko mo jawbal le mutinu
That they would do all these terrible things like taking direct instructions
e beni
from
ku
Chief
jaw
Justice.
ku jawbal tala ye ka la mo ka memu tumiri moti kata ka kum ka yamaro ta chief justice bulan kitindir lal bela nyaton ko banko kanja o wadola
And deliberately flouting well-known rules of procedure.
unte ya kan isi sartol men yalon ko atele wala nyana marlingu wala be marlingu kiti onyin tamando nyole isi sawu sartol la ye ni dial tamanda ka
Just to satisfy the executive interest?
nyin kamala ron pour ka nyaton kol nyin kawol sewondi
I would say they would do anything that would help them maintain their contracts.
Mba fola ko itol ibe ku kala kaje ko dolong e do ko mi yalan ko ya dila wo kana bu tay bulu wo e continue wo do ko ni.
They deserved the title mercenary judges.
munta kay pour moya fay masinari joji wala jojol kiti tedal me alon ko ye jole pour yena ka kiti ote nyaala me alon ko aninti mo manta pour ron ka mol nya se wondi men yalon ko wolle ta do ko amunta a jarata pour ke kumandi wotola
Indeed.
So abhorrent was their conduct that they committed the greatest disservice to the Gambian people.
ani kabi o nyaaw nyaay na na nyim bara jawolta ka do ko nyin do ko tam mulu nyawolta ka la gambian jamaka
Correct.
Wala
These were not the only three.
amanka nyim mosa bodronte fo
There were many more.
jamal be jele ko ta men be koma
Do you think it's worth the while
fo ya mira ko a jarata le bang
to continue to have judges under such type of arrangement?
ka jojol soto men ya lon ko be tala ni do ko la me ya lon ko be tala do ko la ni nyala me ya lon ko ngani ne fo la ni nyala sifalla
These hustler judges whose only loyalty was to their contracts.
mel me ya lon ko ni ndir la jojol le finde la bankol kan itata mane kata ni ndiro la yeta do ko ke jojol ti andu ila hamo mu munete don ila miro to ka dame do jota wala min di ko ila contrat ko nyi abe nyi nyala nyame anding ila contrat ko nyi abe jamfala nyame
Certainly. I mean, we should never ever
man man nyan na sonna kotenke.
have judges who are not here except on technical assistance from other benches around the world.
Man nyan na sonna kiti ndir tela la koten mi yalan ko be tarani banko le kan nyeta bari mol mi yalan ko e be balanam banko kotongol le kan pour yena yenan demana kiti ndiro kunyala.
andu waytare buradu da kotangol le do me ya lon ko do mane
Mr. Chair, I have just two more topics to deal with. I should be able to finish them in 30 minutes, I believe. Do we take the break now and return after 1 hour? or do we continue and finish for the day? I have no other witness for today.
Is the witness strong enough to continue for the next 30 minutes?
Yes,
The
Mr.
seat
Chair.
is not too hot.
Fine, let's go for the next 30 minutes and then call it a day.
Thank you very much,
Anyway.
Mr. Chair.
But can I just ask one quick question? Where was the Bar Association in all this crazy situation that was going on in the country? Or did the Bar Association comprise majority foreigners?
Yaman kami nyini ka wala nyindi ko na nyin loya ka fo e bitol be no minto le wato me na nyin ku jawol bebe kala na banko kanjang.
Well, Mr. Chair, we're setting the tone for the Bar Association to come and respond to all these things.
I want to hear from him first, and then the Bar Association will hear their response.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you very much. Mr. Marena, could you have a go on that?
Yes, thank you.
Marena ko fosi kuma fono wato bang.
I think the bar did its part.
Ndikitala ko ni loya ka fo ni waliye takele de.
In fact, there were circumstances
Ngsa fo ka fan watil sototala ni fan
where the bar boycotted
ni loya ka fo ni ye da bondi
the courts of certain judges
comme kiti ndila dol la kiti dulato
in reaction to some of the outrageous things that some of these judges did.
comme pour que jabir ke ko la mi yalan ko wollebe ke kan landa tambi ko mi yalan ko wollebe ke kan
I can recall there was a boycott of Justice Paul's court at one point.
no hakilo bulata la wati sotota no nyin loya ka fo ni ye foñole kata justice Paul la kiti dulato.
So the bar did try to do what it can.
Ya je ba fana ye fero be kele de nyin loya ka fo ni
I believe it was swimming against the tide.
dori jegeta ko ama ko ni manna benno le don
There was little they could do
ima kundinding ise wole ke nonu doron
beyond issuing statements,
ka to ata tambila no ka kuma ka ngol bondi kibarol
and in extreme cases,
ndum ko wati dol fongo bije keso dol to
boycott the courts,
ke da bondi kiti o fongo kuoto
which also had its consequences on their litigants and their clients.
andum fana ni oke wo fana kana ku dole ku kolen dole wulu mol kamiyana ko tol fana be lori wolle kiti o bundato.
But I believe if the bar president comes in,
bari njikita ko mi itol fongo la kafo president o nanata
you'll probably be able to say some of the other efforts that were made by the bar.
ba ferol folale ifo fana ferol minke wo wato nyin kono akafo nyin
In reaction to some of these, abnormalities.
jabiri ke nyin kuol la mi yalan ko be ke kan andi mantara ke kan no ani silola.
Thank you. Council, you may continue.
My counsel.
But this conduct was not just limited to the judges.
Bare nyim baro nyinga mandam jojol drondo.
The magistrates were also involved.
Magistrate or wala nyin kiti bundandi wala kiti ndir lal fana.
But judges
Bare jojol
who resisted the executive interference
men kabala nyin kangola me yalon ka bo santole.
or disregarded what may have been executive interest
Warando kabala ka foko wala be kele santon ko la nafati.
and followed the law
Ka ye bulal wa noma.
were also dealt with very badly.
Wal fana keta molen me yalon ko e mate la nyala me yalon ko ajawiyata ba.
Was that true?
Fo mu to nyalti ba.
Very true.
Tonya ba
Can you give us examples?
Isi misalo di non na woto ba.
We have been told about some situations
Ye la al halo do dinna jam misal fi
or instances like the Omar Jabang instance, which you raised earlier,
men kamunta ko Umar Jaban na case ko yemen fo jam ko man tunu
and there was Samsidin Conte,
anin samsidin konte fana na
the
case
Kama magistrate.
me yalon ka be brikama la kiti
There
bundande
was
wala
also Ibrahim Jaite.
andum Ibrahima Jayte fana na case o fana mo misalo dolti
There was this former Chief Justice Chauhan.
anin kiti ndirlal be la nyaton ko wala mo Chief Justice Chongkan
Chauhan. And Justices Raymond Sock and
Justice
and
Raymond
Dibudani.
Sock
Could you dilate on these examples?
isi nyi misalo isi fanu ndi nyonye bang ndi kulong igala foldo
Certainly, There has been many brave and patriotic judges and magistrates
Zafono ko kiti tela sodolmia ko jambarol le muti andi hanyete le dokola le
who, like you've rightly stated,
mi yemel fonyen tem
followed the law to the letter,
ka bula luwa no mala fa dandulato
did not allow themselves
man song pour ye kerini no kula
to be swayed by political interest
afoko dolong politiko fanala
or executive excesses.
wala ka foko comme president wala karo fanala
Because the Omar Jabang you've rightly mentioned,
comme yemi fo Omar Jabang la kuoto
I believe his dismissal
comme la bayo ni lata ko
from the bench
a bondi ala doko nyinto ka kiti ndiriato
was in reaction to a judgment he gave.
ni aje woketa ay kuntur la kenu kiti dola
Few judgments, I believe,
lata ko kuntur din dol bijele
one of which is the Andy Carroll case,
wal dabije andi karol diamoni
who used to be the Deputy Accountant General, I believe,
ko mum molete mi alon ko deputy accountant general le matino
and was charged for some economic crime, offense,
ya tumi ko comme bankola nafulo Kenya ay wala dundi nyoto
because he acquitted on discharge her.
natana bla akoy tan murndino la wo kitio la yana timin nakote
I recall Omar Jabang also dealt with the case of Yusuf Saidi.
akilo fana bulata Omar Jabang aketa multimi atele kata kitin dilati minata Yusufa Sedi la kitio to
And he also did acquit him,
wo fana aya bula ko ta murndino la ya tumi min nakote
because much to the chagrin of, the president.
mi wo man tara diaru no president onye
And his dismissal had to do with some of these, decisions that he did make.
ando ala bayo miya sababu wala nyin kuntun drol miya lon ka ke nyin kiti yol to ten
And one hallmark of the judiciary
la court
is security of tenure,
wala mari nyin ala palaso nyin pour ala je tanko be tarla je nyaari afan ko
which is critical for independence of judges.
wo mu kule me alon ka manida bagala pour ay tara afaye
Correct?
Yes.
And this dismissal is just an attack to that principle.
nyim bayro mo kule me yalon ko boy kango don me yalon ko aka kew sartol kam
Certainly. In fact,
an sa boko fam
I did hear at one point
nga moyle no fa wati sotata
President Jammeh himself
president Jammeh fon
say he doesn't believe in the independence of the judiciary.
man la ko kiti bunda nyin ila ye fan soto le be lori fayen amo wala
That he pays the judiciary.
ma tele ka judiciary jo
You cannot have independence when they are being paid by the government.
ko ite fan ite tarano e fambulu yelo e fayen na tara ite kite jole man sala kite jo
So I think
Was he reminded
ya hakilo bulan laba
that he had it all upside down? He had
be
no
kunna
clue
falinne. Among
who was
londi soto.
paying the judges. It is the taxpayers of this country. It is
Londi
the
soto.
people of the Gambia.
amal londi soto jumala ka wakiti tela jo ban sakunda be fem banko dingo mul wolle ke jo ka to wolle ka namo jo
Well, I wish somebody had reminded him of that,
ambela filanu bake pour moya haklo blandino wala
except that he is a proponent, I believe,
lata ko ateka kul ja fayen ne dorom
of the French acronym of l'État, c'est moi, is it? They call it.
Which is the equivalent of a dictatorship.
wala mi sembela mara lola mote o koto mo walati
That the state, he believed himself to be the embodiment of the state.
ateka jele ko afon kundingole mu moti mi alan ka tele marta banko be mu mela
And Ibrahim Jaite, magistrate Ibrahim Jaite, who is now a justice,
Ibrahima Jaite o wato a manke kiti kuntur bla badi nu o wato amu magistrate oltinu
also suffered similar consequences.
fona wo ku kilingo nyala wala ketala no
I recall it related to, one of the dictas of Jammeh that people should pray on a particular day, or Korite or Tobaski.
akilo blatala komi jame fongola kuma kongol do ka foko komi ni salo sida sunkar salo le wala banna salo lungo nyanta sodola mi a wolungo fomo le sali wolungo la
And that whoever prayed on a different day
no ni momo nata sari lungo la mi alan ko yo lungo le fo ani wo man kili
would face the full force of the law
loi bulo balale kanna nyanta nyami
or his law.
awala telefon la loi
And you had this sheriff
sa yena ñing sheriff ñi soto
from somewhere in the West Coast. I can't remember which part. Is it Dasilame also?
ngamira sheriffo ñi mimbota na dasilame tundo
Who led his people to pray on a different date to the date that Jammeh had pronounced, or
Yeah,
the Supreme Islamic Council had pronounced.
mi ya lonko ate sali ate ya mol nyaton ko ya salta lungo la mi ya lonko jama ma wo lungo fo wala Supreme Islamic Council ma wo lungo ñim fo
As ridiculous as it sounded,
comme mi ya jibe ak wo jakalo wata nu ñoo wam ñami bo
he
wato
was arrested by the police
police ol natane bulo la kan
and charged.
tumi
Magistrate Ibrahim Jaite acquitted him.
mi gestrate Ibrahima Jete kiti tela ñing anata na bula ko ita murino la ya tumi minna
And he was dismissed.
nata na bay nata kiti ndila ñim bay kabru wo kiti yo nya ya kuntu
Samsudin Conte, that you referred to as well,
Samsudin konte fana yemi fo nu jang
I believe he was dealing with the case of Said Mati Jau,
jigi ko ate lebe mararing Said Mati Jaw la kiti yo la no
who was working with the University of the Gambia.
o Said Mati Jaw abe do ko la nung anina Karambombanyi University of the
He
Gambia
was involved in some research,
da bulata nung kisikisi lo dole kono no
and as a result of which he was charged for, some offense relating to the research that he was carrying out.
so wo kisikisi ro kabra bala aba do ko nyin kono natana tumi wo kisikisi ro nyin fanala
He was charged and brought before Samsudin Conte.
natana tumi ya natana kiti ndi tela la kafumi Samsudin Conte
Again, he was acquitted,
wo fana ya bula ko ita murini no la ya tumi ro mi la kan koten
and the young magistrate also was given his marching orders.
wo kiti ndi tela ndingo nyingi natana fa ko ay bo
But not only were they given marching orders, they were also subject to harassment by way of arrest.
Among Kenyan Ranka, later on, Ranka, ye baila, Abuka water, Ikanana, Buloli Fanan, Ibulu Lake and the Fanan, Waranoke, Malundi.
Indeed, I believe both Jabang and Samsiding were subject to police detention.
kon lata ko Samsudin anin jabam be police ol bulo late kanne yinane mabolen
But this was not only limited to magistrates.
But in Monkey Kurimalon, Adanta magistrate or Brunella.
Tell us about Chief Justice Chauhan.
Silang Chief Justice Chauhan Fanan Noko Fanyabang.
In 2005, after they dealt
2000.
with the 2015, after they dealt with
2016 song.
the Langtombong Tamba and Sajo Fofana case,
Biring Lantombon Tamba and Insajo Fofana Kitio Nimbiri Mata or Pareta.
when they handed down a decision that was not favorable to the Jammeh government.
Biring Walnat na Kitio Ni Kuntu Bario Kitio Ni Tolia Kuntu Yameng, Amanke Kunturinyat Meya Lonko, Yaya Jamela Masakunda Amori Dian Yukuoti.
I believe for Jammeh,
lata ko jamme
it made no difference, whether it was a magistrate court or a Supreme Court.
among abuka fatam fansi jibe fo magistrate court len fo kiti ba dulani ne Supreme Court
In that case,
wo
the
kiti
Langtombong Tamba case,
nang tombon tamba ñu la diamo ñi
Langtombong and Sajo Fofana, I believe, were convicted of treason.
lang tombon ni Sadio Fofana ye loi e bulo lay kan ko ye jamfa jawla sitino
And at the Supreme Court,
Supreme Court kiti ba ñinto Gambia jam
they were sentenced to death.
nata fo ko ñanta ke fale
And of course, on appeal at the Supreme Court,
tan kabri nata ne la kiti ñi senkan jube ka fo dame Supreme Court ko ten
their lawyer, I believe it was Sheriff Tambedu,
lata ko wato mimbe lawyer Karola Sirif Tambedu
rightfully argued
nata na kayitandiro kay
that under the Constitution,
min na banko loi bañin koto
person can only be sentenced to death
mo inyanta ka fuko loi nyanta ka fale min nyanta ko tina wala nyinti ko
if his conduct led to the death of another individual.
na tara e manya ke miya tina wona ta tina modo fana fata
Since the alleged coup d'etat
sa barin ko ye tumi kudeta nyin min
did not result in any death,
aya tara hani mo man faje
therefore they could not be subject to a death penalty.
to wokan imanya na fula ko nyanta ke fale
The Supreme Court agreed with the submission,
Supreme Court ina tana son kabrai wo kuma komodi
and I believe they were, the death sentence was replaced with a life imprisonment.
Nata na lako kumi nyanta ke fai nata na wo saundi ko sai be la la kaso to la ko siyo dam.
Certainly, Jammeh didn't take kindly to that.
Wo kuma ko nyi mi foto wo nyama bo man jamme kontan.
And the Chief Justice then was a Pakistani national.
Wato mi alon ko wolbe marin na luwa na kiti fa na nyaton ko nyi.
And the other justices, Justice Jibujane,
Ni ka fo mi fa Justice Jibujane,
Justice Raymond Sak,
ni Justice Raymond Sok
were all dismissed.
wol beye bay.
I believe the other judges were foreign judges. They had come from other countries.
Latala ko kiti tera dol min fana bowol kono wol mo moleti mi botana banku kotongol lato.
Interestingly,
Ni fo gana ko mayata.
this was the decision
Ni mo kuntundul lati mi alon ko
that led to Jammeh's downfall.
mi yana tati na fo jamme boyta.
Because this was the decision
Ato ni mu keta kuntundul lati.
which made us have no Supreme Court.
Wo na tati na fo manna kiti bunda baso to koteng.
In 2016, when he lost the election,
Sain 2016 sa kono kabla fota karte fayo nyento.
he filed an appeal before the Supreme Court.
Anata na dundi ke no kiti bunda ba nyento.
But there were no judges to hear the appeal.
O wato hani kiti tela tije min se lamoy no ala wo dundi rola.
And that's why we all saw on television
Wala nan tolbe anata je television to.
when he called Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the then president of Liberia,
Anata na president mimnung Liberia president de Ellen Johnson Sirleaf ay wo commande telephone to.
pleading
Daniel ke waya.
he should prevail on, I think, some Nigerian judges who he had identified to come and hear or to constitute the Supreme Court.
Min kata Nigerian kiti tela dolta miliyan ko wolle bina tarra wo kiti bumba nyinto pour ka atale ayo kiti ayo kuma kongol min dundi pour wol se jiber ke wala.
So sometimes, like I said, if you're digging a hole,
Wala na wato dol bijen ko ni be dinko sinna.
don't dig it too deep.
Ana dinko singa jamfa.
But this one was a hole too deep.
Bari nyammo dinkalati miyalan ka jamfa ta
Because
bakala fo.
it may have been possible
Ato asikeno
for
la
that
no.
election result to be overturned
Pour wo kiti wo karte fayo min keta ya yele mandi.
with the right judges
Na tara kiti tela min nyanta tara no jebi.
in court.
Indeed, Chief Justice Chauhan left the jurisdiction in 48 hours.
O kannam Chief Justice Chauhan inara na bay banko kanjang kana tambi trifula la fam.
Jammeh left the jurisdiction few weeks after the election.
Ya jembe fal nar na banko bula dokun dantan ko la carte bay ko la.
But this was just not the only time he has so blatantly and directly interfered with judges who gave decisions that were not favorable.
Nyimmanke kango dronti me alon ko tawnte ya kan an intilim bale ka dabula jojo la me alon ko ye kijo kundu ni nyala ke dabula wala kango to ya kundu nyame nyimmanke
The present Chief Justice had once served as a judge of the Supreme Court.
sa inte me alon ko atal mun na Chief Justice an fanan keta nana keta molde me alon ko keta sorry
Atata nung nakiti ba dinkra nyunta kata nung kiti tela to nung jele.
And I do believe wrote the opinion on the immunity provisions, which were declared unconstitutional.
Ndum fana adablo ta mol kono mi yalan ko wolle saferke e ka foni loi mi yalan ko e ka fa immunity mi yalan ko anyanta ka lonu bari manata.
What happened to him during that time?
mun keta ro wato
No, certainly, like you've rightly pointed out,
Me ya fo nyami ya nyin dinkra senendi nyam.
I think it was Kemes and Jammeh
Jikita ko keme sen jamelem
who challenged the constitutionality
min tata ka samba kiti bumbato ko min fo loi sonta wo ko la.
of the amendments to the Constitution.
Mi falendirol min ken na banko loi boku bañin kono.
I believe around the year 2000 or so,
Jikita ko komi year 2000 sango kono
2001 thereabout.
fo kata 2001
And of course, the current Chief Justice
wo wato kono ñing santeng na chief justice ñing
gave the lead judgment
wala keta moti min keta nyaton koti kabribe kuitiyo ñing kuntula
and upheld the challenge.
natana song e wo kuma ko min dundi natana
Declared the amendments to the immunity clause unconstitutional.
men san ka foko ye wo loi mi yalan ko ye wole dundi ka fa immunity clause o mu fenete mi yalan ka nim banko loi bu ba man tanyola.
And he was dismissed.
Yes, he was dismissed thereafter.
But even Justice Monaghan
ani Justice Monaghan found
and Justice Izauko
ani Justice Izauko
were both forced to leave.
Ibe ye force ole kam pour ye finti kara.
after giving decisions that were not favorable
Biri ye kango kuntuni nyala me yalon ko kango nying aning nyaton ko la ni diamanta.
to the Jammeh regime?
Jamme la mansa kundala.
I would add to that, I think there was also another Ghanaian Chief Justice.
Mbala far gala wata njikita ko Ghanaian ki Chief Justice do na tata no janne.
I've forgotten her name, lady Chief Justice.
Yes.
Ajiman?
Ajiman, yes. Justice Ajiman.
Justice Ajima.
Also had to leave the country under very difficult circumstances.
Ofuna nata na banko bula nyala miala ko akoleata baka.
In fact, I think she went into hiding
Jikita no fam ka tatala no atati mabole no
just before leaving.
Yanaba bola banko kan.
And in fact, the Ghanaian government was very unhappy about that.
Dum Ghana la masakunda ni manna kontan fereng wo ko wala.
And I think that has been the reason why they've been very reluctant
Nga jika ko wala atina sai buka pare fang
to actually send technical assistance to Ghana.
buka makor kina Gambia jang mimbe on demaro kala nan do ko Kenyato.
With our own local judges or magistrates, they get arrested and detained.
Ndol fongola banko kanjanna jojol na banko dingo mol mealan ko jojol ani magistrate ol fanan keta molel mealan ko ke ye mutale ke sindi dula killing.
We examined the case of Jaite.
Jete la ko nyinga jubele.
There may have been a mistake.
Asikeno
Jaite's removal and detention had to do with the transfer of a case, discharge of the accused persons and transfer of the case to another jurisdiction from Birkama to Bundung, which was found unfavorable.
Magistrate Jaite wala bondo ngam faham je wala nyindi ko ay case dole sotaranum sotonum Birkama magistrate court ayo case nyindeta aya bondi Birkama aya saundi nang bundung kadu nyinkama ko bundung Birkama kiti bunda nyingman sembo soro pour ko case nyinta wala tina ayo saundi nang bundung nga kala muta ko yaata bondi o dalilo la kam.
You are right, that may have been the immediate trigger.
Wala ite yemen fo walem o sekeno kutele mi an ko terinke wala fo
That must have come really hot on the heels of this other judgment.
But the Dasilame Sangajo case is believed to have been handled by Magistrate Cham, wasn't it?
Dasilame Sangajo la kiti nying mo lara nyina ko Magistrate Cham wala o.
It's Jaite as far as I
It's Jaite as well as far as you know. But nonetheless, these are all interferences with the judiciary.
Nyaaw keta nyaaw nyara nyimbe mu baral me yalon ko dabulo lam ye menke na kiti bunda la fanala.
But not only that, there's been several instances of suggestions of bribery of witnesses by state institutions with regards to cases where the state had an interest. What do you say about that?
I did hear about that here at the commission. To be frank, I had not heard of that before. I mean, bribery by the office of the DPP or the prosecutors. But having heard that it happened or it was done by DPP Chenge, I cannot confirm the veracity. What I can say is that DPP Chenge was very desperate to make his mark in this country. And he was, in effect, a Machiavellian.
Could you break that down for us?
A Machiavellian is a person who is willing to do anything, whatever it takes,
including violating the law?
kono wala nka luwa fanan tinyaba
When we say do anything,
Nko ase fon fenke no le.
it literally means anything
Ni ajibe wala ndolon ko kuti.
in order to get to his end.
Sa jo ka se futa no ala futa la dan.
Yes, and so I will not be surprised,
Sa nyinte kala nyatere makoti.
or I will not refute that possibility.
Wala nta balan na ko kusi fa ketal.
Well, witnesses have accused him personally
bari seedo li ada fan kundingo tumile
of bribing them in order to obtain particular testimony.
pour ay ye silo tala ay ngani tala pour ke dugu isaje asi kuma kon soto nay bulu
In several cases,
kesi so jamal beje
including, I believe, the Langtombong Tamba case,
ndunga be ko non la ranjina wala lantom bon tamba fana na kitiyoti
and possibly was it the Ndur Cham case.
andu asikeno fana ngamira nduru jam fana na kitiyoni.
Like I said, I mean,
Mi ngafo nyami.
Chenge
Tenge.
even had issues
Kole akol fon soto le no fa.
with his team of technical assistants that he came with from Nigeria.
Ni mol mi yalan ko ni wolle botan na nyola Nigeria mi yalan ko na ta de ma rodi.
And there were accusations that he even reported them
Ika ya tumile fan ka ko wol bole le no fa.
on, spurious allegations against, in their home country.
Tumile jawle kan fan ka futandi la banko botan
He
banko.
didn't get along with even his own people
Ate fongo fon kundunga nala mol fon man na keno.
because he was so fixated
Kata ka kol jele dorong
on
kete
doing
dam.
things that he felt, was going to really, catapult him into, the good books of the regime.
Kul ke mi yalon ko wol batin na la ko ibajela ko kate abala do ko ke kana anyata nyami mol mi ko mi mol la karola mi wala sija.
That much I can say about it.
So fono ala fanala bake.
But
bari
there was also this special litigation team that was at the Ministry of Justice.
afo do fana be me alon ko be lori fayen wi ka fo special litigation team me alon ko be no ministry member bare luwal de tin Kenya
Who were paid differently.
ni alon ko kejo karal
What can you tell us about that?
ete simuna fona nyowol fana na ko
Like I said,
Ko mi ngafu nyami.
the Ministry of Justice has been a long-standing recipient
Ministry of Justice akeda dingra de mi yalon ko ka sotor ndir keno le no.
of technical assistance,
Mol la mi yalon ko wolle kana de maro di banko la nyam.
especially from the Republic of Nigeria.
Katuma banko min jogom Nigeria banko.
And these were people who were sent by the government.
Nyul kaka mol la de mi yalon ko man sakunda le ke kina.
But sometime around 2010,
Bari wati sotola nun 2010 sango kono.
before that, these technical assistants
Gani wo fon ni mol mi ay ke kina pour de maro la Gambia jam.
are normally paid by their government.
Da man sakunda le ke jo.
And of course, the Ministry of Justice would only pay them the local allowances applicable to locally paid staff.
Komi Ministry of Justice welcoming ka dorong ikela alawanso lejo komi ka joro ke nyame mol la miya ko wal mo Gambia dimo be do ko.
Around 2010 thereabout,
In 2010 ma fon la kata wala.
we suddenly saw a team of 3 prosecutors
Na tana je
Lawyers.
kiti ndir lal miya ko loyal le moti mo saba
from Nigeria
botana Nigeria banko kan
who were not sent on technical assistance.
may kinan ko ina tana de maro le di Gambia masakunda.
How they came into the country,
Na tana nyame nyim banko kan jang
was not known to me at
wo
least.
ndamo long no.
But they were called the Special Litigation Team.
Bari na tane kuma di ko tolle multi million ko kiti ndiro ka kanyami ye to lellondi wo fannara
And they had their own package, so to speak.
ina taje ko to fonla joro ye ko afayen
They were answerable to the Attorney General
ke danko attorney general lama
rather than the DPP.
nyante danko la DPP la bari ke danko attorney general.
And then all the politically sensitive cases that were going on at that time
Wato kono diamol mi yalan ko be kiri and political dabe bulari nga kono
were mostly assigned to this state.
ke di to lela wo kesi solni.
Do you know where they were paid from? Was it from Ministry of Justice?
yalo ne ila jo ka bo damen de man fo ila jo akabo ministry bunda do me alon ko atul mari luwal ni tilingo la ba
I can't recall exactly whether they received anything from the Ministry of Justice.
Kilo mamutano fo ikafen soto nang Ministry of Justice la fanale.
But certainly, I mean, it was believed that they were actually paid by outside of the Ministry of Justice. Let's say. Outside of the payroll of the Ministry of Justice.
Come Ministry of Justice ila joro kadaranim bundamin.
What does that mean? Can you break that down for us?
Well, the Ministry of Justice have got a payroll.
Yeah, the Ministry of Justice
Basically, I mean, consisting of all the staff of the ministry. Their remuneration. But it was alleged at this time that this special litigation team were actually paid different from the allowances and the remuneration that council received at the Ministry of Justice. There was an allegation not seen their pay slip. They were actually paid in dollars. But that I cannot verify. I wouldn't know where exactly the payment is coming from. Certainly.
Was it not alleged that they were paid in dollars by the president? Yes,
that's the allegation.
As Solicitor General, do you believe that that was regular and that was legal?
I'm not sure that's the right translation. I was in the Solicitor General at the time.
Yes, but as a former Solicitor General.
No, I want to correct the translation. No, certainly. I mean, that would not be regular. All persons working under the umbrella of the Ministry of Justice
Ministry of Justice
must be under the payroll of the Ministry of Justice.
Ministry of Justice
either as a local staff or as a technical assistant.
At least as a minimum, they should be paid from funds appropriated or approved by Parliament.
Munta futa nyao nyanyara ndi nyama itol fanana jo nyana nyana bola dula to me alon ko jole me alon ko ministre na député bunna ko ye budgeto men di ministry même mare loi len tilingola itol fanana nyina jo nyana bola wol.
That's why I said they should be on the payroll, because the payroll presupposes that it's from the budget of the Ministry of Justice appropriated by the Parliament.
Because niko payroll wala joro ka bonandam and wo joro aka bonamuntola akata deputy bungotola na potaje aita ministry
So these special prosecutors were just the flip side of the hustler judges.
Amunda nyinki dindirla me alon ko be fayende to fana mu molle de me alon ko e ninni jojol me alon ko e nyindirla jojol ka fa hostla joji to be mu be fanke kin wala kon.
I would agree with that.
And they carried out some of the most abhorrent prosecutions.
Wato do e kayin kiti jawol tale me alon ko e kawol e tolle kawol kitindi.
That happened during those days. You agree with that?
Certainly. I mean, I think that was the purpose. Why they had to be specially recruited.
But Jammeh did not do this without any support. He certainly would have needed personnel in key institutions to help him do this. What do you say to that? I am looking in particular to paragraph 3 of your statement.
Ite muna sada memem fola ila sapa ila kuma kan safe no ala sapa sabanja wambe wala jube ka yemem foje.
Yes, that's very true.
Omutonyaati.
I think Jame treated the Ministry of Justice
Minsafu ko jamme ay Ministry of Justice mutala ko
like he treated all state institutions.
komen ay banku dogo dinkira dol kenu nyami ay muta nyami.
Meaning,
Wokoto minti wala nyandi ko.
he would make sure
Ba jelala ko
that he has trusted persons.
ay mol soto miliyalon ka la telale.
A lot of times people he probably has a personal relationship with,
No watu jama ka ke molleti miyalon ka ni la kuol dunta nyokono.
and make sure that they man key positions
Ka je ko wol place ko mal be wolle be marla.
in these state institutions.
Inding dogo dinkira nyilto.
Of course, effectively that would mean
Ni ajibe wokoto be kala nyinati ko
that they would be his eyes and ears,
wolle be kala tulol na nyalti.
and they would probably have direct contact
Andung ibina in nyomoyo be kala itol na te temale
and access to him.
andi se futanu amala fana.
I think it was part of the wider strategy of divide and rule, basically.
Ngamela ko insafo ko dorong ayake fanal
So certainly both at the Ministry of Justice
Sa insafo ko Ministry of Justice fanala
and probably at the judiciary as
ni
well,
judiciary fana
Yame made use of the personal relationships
jamme ya katale ka jo ko ani mol temo
he had with lawyers.
ni loyal temo
I mean, to basically, make sure
ajoko
that he is able to have full control
saja se mararo mume bekeno
over, these legal institutions.
ni do ku fana do dinkral mi yalon ko ka do ko kanen luwa fanal.
Like you have in the prisons a David Colley,
Men kambonta ko na kase bumba to nga David Koli soto je.
who would do whatever he wanted,
Me ya lonko aka ko ke me ya lonko atila fita wala.
and then you have, is it a Yankuba Baji at the NIA,
Ina na yanku babaji fanan soto membe nung NIA
do what he wanted,
ko ke men diata e.
and to have an Usman Sonko
Ina na Usman Sonko fanan soto.
as Minister of Interior,
Me ya lonko atala munu minister me ya lonko abe banko kono jang.
do what he wanted,
Ka ko ke me ya lonko atala fita wala.
and to have an IGP
Anun kana ay police la nyaton ko fanan
and
soto.
a Chief of Staff
Ani me ya lonko soja ro la nyaton ko
and
fanan.
a Solicitor General
Anu me ya lonko atala be la solicitor
and a
general.
Minister of Justice
Minister me ya lonko atala mane
and
luwa
a
den
Chief
chilimola.
Justice
Ani kitindir la be fanan
and a
nyaton
few
ko.
judges
Ni kitindir la ko tangol la.
do what he wanted.
Woku ke me ya lonko atala fita wala ta yaya.
Dictatorship A101, letter M1.
Sembela maralo rong.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Ile sede andiroda.
C'est vraiment dommage. Alors, oh, sorry. What I was saying is a pity that the state was reduced to that. Louis XIV and l'état c'est moi. Thank you very much, Mr. Marena, for your testimony.
Abaraka bake Mr. Marena ila kuma kangol jang.
Very informative and quite engaging. Thank you so much again for coming to testify.
Ila kuma kangol nga fahamle nga moela abaraka bake ila na jang kanila kuma kangol di.
Commissioners, if you have any questions, please indicate. Imam C, you have the floor, please.
Mam si wala kane nyininka.
Mr. Marena jërëjëf.
Mr. Marena, thank you.
Sa kam-kam bu rafet ak leeral bi nga leeral ni.
Your knowledge that you have dispersed here.
Nde dafa am li may laaj.
I have a question to ask you.
Affaire ati yi.
Based on the, the court proceedings,
Surtout ñi nekk ci kaso bi.
especially those who are in custody.
Bi ñu fa demee gis nañ fa ñi nga xamante ne am nañ seen atti bi dem na fukki at ba fukki at ak juróom.
When we visited the prison, we have realized that there were some people whose case were on up to 10 years now or more.
Te ñaari fukki at pareegul.
Up to 20 years, still now their cases are still pending.
Ak ci biir dëkk bi itam.
And also in the country here,
Am na ñi nga xamante ne dangay ñëw ci looy waxtaan ak moom.
there are some people, they will come to the lawyer and discuss.
li nga war a def yëpp nga def ko.
All what you're supposed to do, you will do them.
benn kayit du des.
No document will left behind.
waaye sa atte bi dafay dem fukki at.
But your trial will go more than 10 years.
ngay dox de dem.
You will going, coming.
ba mu mat fukki at doo ci am dëgg doo ñàkk doo am.
Up to 10 years, you are going and coming, and you will not get the truth, and you will not get nothing out of it.
man loolu moo ma jaagal laa bëggoon nga leeral ñu depuis nguur Yaya Jammeh ba léegi loolu moo fi.
This is something that really puzzled me, and I would want you to clear the air for us, since the government of Yaya Jammeh up to date.
Thank you, Imam.
Baraka Imam.
I'll probably speak in English and you do the translation because it's quite technical question.
Okay, sir.
There are a lot of factors.
Kujama lebije.
No, I think he speaks Wolof, right?
Somebody is interpreting for
Okay,
you.
okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of factors
Kujama lebije.
responsible for, I mean, the delays in the court cases.
Miliyal dinna miliye sababundiro ke nyinkiti yo la miyalon ko ibuka tano kome nyanta tala nyana ka tarde.
One of the, I mean, causes
Iling kono mil ko sababu.
is the lack of adequate judges.
Min ko sababu wala kiti ndirla jamal mantarek sotoring.
I mean, and as a result,
And woyatina.
you find that individual judges
Nying kiti ndirla kilingol.
are overloaded.
Wol fana diamu jamal letarre bulo kono miyale nyentaka.
And so the cases take a long time to, I mean, be decided.
Wala katina diamol nying ni ba kono kiti dinkiral to akam watu tabaka akame.
And sometimes also,
Watu dol fana bije.
when there is a change in the judge that is presiding over a case,
Yaje nyatare nata falendir ke kiti ndirla follow ni mimbije ni o bondije.
I mean, the new judge that comes into a case,
Kiti yemun nata je kutake kiti ndirla kutonyi.
if it's a criminal trial,
Na tara fenne miyalon ka mariya ku jawole ka na bani mansala tema.
the new judge can actually order a trial de novo, the trial to start again.
Wo kiti ndirla kutama ka muna fa wala nyindi komi kiti yo nyinga be dati ku potek.
Because that is allowed under the rules.
At wo sarfol sonta wala.
Another factor
Kudo fana bije.
is the very manual way of, I mean, recording proceedings.
Walem komi ning kiti yo be ke kan ika saferol min ka bulola.
For instance, in the TRRC here,
Yaje sanjang TRRC jang.
it would not have been possible.
Te kela no fang ate benna no.
This was a normal court.
Na tara ya kele ko kiti ndir dinkilarem doron.
For me to be able to give this evidence
Biri yaje ko nganying kiti nganying kuma kongol min be fo jang ka fo.
within this short period of
Ka
time,
fo doro wati sutun kon.
because our courts are still using the manual handwriting system.
Katu yaje ko na kiti bunda ni hanisany ebe minta ka wolem buluma safero ni ko wala ta nin kiti ndirobe keka.
And that causes a huge delay
Ndu wala ka sabu tarde bal ka
in the speed at which trials proceed.
min kiti o nyi nyanta tariya la nyama bukana tariya wo nyama.
That is a big factor.
Wo fana mo ku bal de mi wo ku wal sababu ndi kiti o bukana.
Another factor is
Do fana bije mi yalon ko.
the endless adjournments
Mi ka saundirol min ke kiti olla.
that are sought by both defense lawyers
Min ko ki saundirol min fana sabundi wolem lawyer nying min bi yalon ko yobi wala nati kiti olla nan lawyer mi yalon ka nata ka do bondi kiti o nyin kono ka semiyandi.
and prosecutors
Ni mi yalon ko wolle fana be kiti ndiro nyin ke kam.
or lawyers appearing for plaintiffs.
Wala wato dol bije lawyer mi yalon ko be lori moye mi yalon ko wole mo nati kiti olla.
So you find long adjournments being sought by lawyers
Ka jele ko lawyer le kana ka saundiro ke mi yalon ko ka wato ta ka jamfa.
because they have a lot of cases on their hands.
Atu ko min ko wo sababu ni wala nyinti diamu jamal wala kesi solti jamale be blokon.
So the cases take a long time to be concluded.
Wala katina janin kiti wal nyimbe banna ka wato ta.
Of course, for those people in remand,
Sa minata molla karola mi yalan ko yes ibe riman.
another factor could be
Min se e wo sababu ndi wala nyinti ko
that when they are taken to remand,
ni e samba riman.
the police also may take a long time to conclude an investigation.
Police wol fana ka wati jantale pour ka ila kisi ro nyin ka dafa.
And unfortunately,
Andu wo kan
there is no system whereby after a case is filed in court and the person is remanded,
sila tije wala tamandir bulu tije miyalan ko komi natara ye dundir ke mola kiti ndirola kiti bundata tara mari ni ya sambari man.
The judges are able to review, those cases to make sure that the persons are brought back for trial.
Komi pour kiti ndirla se jiber ke wala wo diamo nyina kaje ko ye mulu nyina ne koten ko kiti bundata.
So if you are not lucky to have a defense counsel,
So ni alaman ne de may man na lawyer so do miyalan ko wolbe lole pour que bondi ye tumi minna.
who can be going to court and raising your issues,
Mi yalan ko abe kala tara kiti bundal to kela kuol foje.
you will likely spend a long time in remand
Ni asikeno ebe mela baka kaso bundato je.
because there is just no follow-up
Kadu ko momantara ye banta mi yalan ka blaka wo kuol nyinno.
in your case.
Ila diamo fana.
There is also the National Agency for Legal Aid,
But bunda fana be keri na mi yalan ke ka fo legal aid.
which is supposed to help indigent, the persons who are not able to afford, the legal, practitioners or legal representation.
Wala nyanta kala bunda te mi yalan ko ka lo mole mi yalan ko wol man loya ka loya joy ma soto no. Nyanta ka lo wo mole na.
But again, the institution is very much understaffed.
Bare sai wol be fana min to ten iman do kulal soto mi yalan ko wol nyanta nyin do ko wol nyin kala.
And as a result, they are not able to, deal with as many cases expeditiously as possible.
Wol dalilo nata tinna iman na dabula no case jamal kono ko mi nyanta ke dabula case sol kono.
So like I said, it's a real combination of factors,
Min sai ni nata jibe bafula ko tonya fengol le mi yalan ko be kafuta nyomale.
which, contribute towards the delays in trials.
Milia lonko wole atina fokiti o nyinga aka abukata aka tardi abukatariano
In this country.
imbanko kanjang.
Thank you.
Baraka.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Jones. You have the floor.
Misona Jones la kane nyininka.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Marena, for your testimony.
Baraka chairman, baraka Mr. Marena ila kuma komi yadi jang.
You've spoken extensively about at least 3 laws that Jammeh used to entrench himself in power.
Ya fole jang kende ke fon loi sabal la mi yalan ko president Jammeh president ko tonying wo loi sabol mi akole ta pour ka sembo dia fana.
And other than the criminal code, which the criminal offences bill, as you mentioned, is with Parliament or has been with Parliament since December 2019.
Mi yemi for criminal code fana la mi yalan ka be palm ababa na député bongoto ka bring wo wato la.
I believe the other 2,
Njikita wo fula dol.
as well as several others, are still in use and could be used by any president, be it presently or in future, to entrench themselves in power.
Ni comme president dol satano ye muna fangala ni nata maralor. Fanala.
To the best of your knowledge, at least until the time you were Solicitor General,
O ite a londo ni soto ni nyami fo kabri wato ni mu Solicitor General.
do you know if there's any ongoing work to either amend or repeal some of these laws?
O ye londi soto la comme nyin luwal nyin ibe ferul ka kan pour ka nyin luwal bondi wala ke fali.
Well, like I said, the 2 laws, that is the false information law
But comme nga fo nyami nyin luwal mi yalon ko wala luwa bundalte mi yalon ko comme mo mi yalon ko ye fani ala fo.
and the provisions on abuse of office and negligence of official duties.
Andung mol mi yalan ko kela doko ke kalan tambi andi yela inyante la doko kala nyami man na ka
Are not separate laws per se.
wol man ke luwal te mi yalan ko fatata nyola
They're all in the criminal code.
wol bebe nyin criminal code luwa kono
So the criminal code review
sa nyin criminal code pour ka jibe
has been able to take care of that.
wo nyanta ko wo ko nyin be marale
The economic crimes decree,
nyin economic crime nyin decree nyin wala ko momin fota luwa to
I don't think there's any plan to, repeal it.
mamela fere be laare mi yalan ko pour ka bondi
Because like I said,
ko mi ngafo no nyami
it's a decree that, has a good legislative intent.
kadu luwa le mi yalan ko ya fo e dala ya londi andu ye ngani kendo le soto pour yolo luwa londola
To deal with persons
pour que ma mol la ko la mi yalan ko
whose criminal activity
mi yalan ko la ku jaw kel nying
has a great impact on the economy.
ya ay tora bala nati na fanko
So
kenya
it's a matter of application, really.
sa mum be je non doron wala en ka dundur ke doron pour ka bondi
Thank you.
abaraka
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Imam Jella. You have the floor, please.
mam jalala kane nyin ka
Thank you. Witness,
say
we know the three arms of government. Because this sector is very, very important in the country. What you last said about Yahya Jammeh's influence on both the bench and the bar. It seemed he used his powers assisted by the laws to twist the arms of all these individuals. Genuinely, do you think it is wise to still keep the executive to keep control of magistrates, judges, and other persons involved with the execution of the law in a country? Thank you.
Baraka.
Thank you, Imam.
Baraka Imam.
Certainly, there is always a danger when you subject judicial appointments to executive discretion. Even though in almost all countries around the world, judges are appointed by the president. But that must happen only with the sanction or recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission. And so the influence that Jammeh had over the judiciary was as a result of a weakened Judicial Service Commission.
Judicial Service Commission wala multi-million ko loren judiciary doku lal tanya ke tanya min doku la wala dokoti.
If the Judicial Service Commission is adequately strengthened,
bare yaje na tara ko wo bundani ya tara ya fanundi ya warandi
ya sembentu ya, then certainly there will be less room for executive interference in the judiciary. Even though the president may have the ultimate executive authority to approve the appointments of judges. So I think the key really lies in a very strengthened Judicial Service Commission.
Judicial Service Commission la karola wala multi-million ko tombondiro ke molla miya nyanta ka dogo ko kitu ibunda fana to le martal.
Thank you.
Baraka.
Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, Mr. Marena, if you have any concluding remarks, you may please proceed to make them now.
Chairman Koso Natara Motije Mimbe Ninkala Kotel, say so continue ila kumakan labangol di commissioner nyati ngola jang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Baraka bake, Mr. Chair.
I wouldn't say much.
Nte fenjama fola jang.
You did not prepare any concluding remarks. And I would probably avoid, saying, by saying it, the sterling work that the commission is doing. Because like I said, being one of the builders of the institution, that would probably amount to being a judge in my own cause. So I'll leave that for other people. But what I just want to say is that what has happened in the Gambia, which is the subject of this commission, is something that we all have to learn from.
wo mu fenneti mi yalan ko be nyanta ka karanjele
And I think the solution to never again
dun jigita ko wo sando nyin ka foka akana ke koteng pour ko wo da
doesn't only lie on the governance architecture of this country.
amanta larin doron ko min man sakunda la tarambulo nyin nyim banko kanja
I think it has to start with the people,
nta jigita ko anyanda dati la hadama dungol fangol
and it has to end with the people.
da nyanta danna fona molla la
Jame was not omniscient.
jamme man ke moti mi yalan ko ay londo so to fengo belto
He was not omnipotent.
na man ke fenti mi yalan ko eksafo ko ay fengo belong
He was not omnipresent.
na man ke fona president ka fudron president odron
He
can
was
you
not
come
omnipresent. He wasn't everywhere.
amanta la dula beto
He only knew about things.
ay akako la na doron
He only made decisions most times
aka kuntundiro kele doron
based on what we the people told him.
komi ni aja ko kuntundiro ke mol ka kuma ko min fa ka kuntundiro
It was we the people
ndol fongo mol nying
that spied on each other,
ndol leka nyo komi ka nyo bole
that ostracized each other,
ndol leka nyo jindi
that labeled each other,
ndol leka fuko karibe ten
that told Jame
mi atina jamme kata
Mr. A is an enemy,
komi ka fo jamme ko nyimmo kari jawole
Mr. B is a political opponent,
nyimmo fulan do mo molti mi ka mi fasa
Mr.
political
C
la
is doing A, B, and C.
ndo fana be nyin kunin ku kare leke kam
And of course, he exploited that.
so anatana wole ta ke muna fa wala
He would not have been able to do it
ato ko nyin kala no num
without the sources of information that was coming to him sitting at State House.
na tara no wo kuma kangol mi yalan ko borol kuma kangol min ka futama na bu ka futama no State House ato wolo na non
And some of this information especially was very, very malicious and wrong.
andung yaje nyun kuma kangol mi yalan ka futama kuma kangol le mi yalan ko kumi mi yalan ka ngani jo sote do wala ka futa kuma kan sifal futandam
So really, I mean, the never again has to start with us, the people of the Gambia.
tonya nin sando nyin akanga ka kote wonyanta dotilantol fongo hadama dingol la
To strive to be good people,
kato beke ka jeko mu ngake mo kendolti
to strive to be our brother's keepers,
ngake molti mi yalan ko banyo fasala doko nin koto
to strive to be good neighbors to each other.
na kato beke ka jeko ngake sinyo kendolti nyoye
If we do that,
ningo okay
I mean, no president
ani president killing
would feel empowered
aba jela ko konte sembole bembulu
to basically subjugate the citizens.
mi yalan ko aba banku dingol tala ka kule kam
Like I always tell myself,
komi ngwato watin ka fon fon kundingo ya nyami
the difference between Jame of 30th November
yaje jamme fatam fanso mi be kere jamme November karotil tan saboni
2016
2016
and Jame of the 2nd December 2016,
anin jamme mi yalon ko wala mu jamme to December karo telefulo in 2016
it was the same Jame.
wo jamme kilingo damati
Why was he so powerful on the 30th of November 2016?
mona atina sembo soto num bake November karo til tan saboni in 2016
And felt so powerless on the 2nd of December
andung kabrin December karo telefulo de longanata ko hani sembu tatela
because the people asserted their right
katuko hadama dingol banku dingol wolle sembol wala la nyantul wolle a londi
the Gambians, both old and new, old and young,
Gambia dingol ke bal dindingol wo
stood up
ilota
and defended
ilota ka kantarke
the constitution
na bango loi buku bal
and the election results.
andum fana karte fayo ni na resolution ni ilota ka tankandi
So even though he had attempted to reverse the results,
na tara fanga kato be kele kaje ko ko falling resolution ni
but because the Gambian people he saw was a different Gambian people he presided over for 22 years,
katuko labanga anata na Gambia dingol minje atafunga ya akoita malako woni Gambia dingol fatata la nun kabrin sango mi yalanko nga bankota
his attitude changed.
ala daji ko falinta
And so the attitude of a leader
yaje nyaton ko la daji ko
is determined by the attitude of the citizens.
wo iko tembenino nyaadile wolem akbe mil marakan wol fana daji ko banyami
And that is why
wala ya tinna
I believe a French philosopher
lata ko français le londo ba do bije
had said
ko
that every people
Momo.
get the leader they deserve.
Ika nyaton ko le soto miyalan ko wala nyanta ke nyaton kaya.
And so really,
Ando woka tonya.
I think the people,
Njikita ko mol nying.
as long as they show themselves
Na tare lota ke fang itandi.
to be deserving of respect,
Komi tol nyanta kala molti nyanta ko horomo soto le.
to be deserving of equal treatment,
Du nyanta ke mobe mutam nyakilingo nyalema.
to be deserving of treatment as human beings,
Komi nyanta kambe muta komi be mu hadamadin kilingol. Yembe
that
muta
would go a long way
Wobe kala feneta be tala fay me.
in the entrenchment of the never again.
Kabula kuol kono miyalan ko wosando nyenti kafo miyata kala koten.
So on those, on that note, with those few remarks,
Sa wokang anin nanyong kumakan sutungo mi nga foten.
I want to say thank you
Mbafla la baraka.
for the opportunity
Ale wato min dina.
of coming here
Ngana jang.
and helping the commission
Demarke komisionola.
understand the context
Pungun ka lonke kula ibe
and the
ke kanya.
background
Anung kul ming be ke kanu.
to what was happening in this country,
Nimbe ke kanu nyimbango Gambia
the
bako
justice and
kawa.
judiciary sector.
Kata fanala miyalon ko tilingo ni bundala anin kitindiro bundala.
In the past 2 decades.
Ni sanji muwango komala.
And I hope that will help us
Dunjikita ko wobe mako lale.
build a bit better system,
Tamandiri bulo lande miyalon ko habe kala tamundiri bulo kendolji.
both for ourselves
Miyalon ko pruntol fongo
and posterity.
ani sama mol miyalon ko lebina. Tariko.
Thank you, Chairman.
Chamana baraka.
Mr. Chair, before the witness goes, I would like to have his statement, his written statement admitted as an exhibit.
What's the number?
I'll give you the number
Later on.
the next hearing. Yes, thank you.
Fine. Thank you very much, my counsel. Thank you again very much, Mr. Marena, for your testimony.
Baraka baka Mr. Council. Baraka baka Mr. Marena ila koma council.
But also a special thanks to you for the contributions that you and your team made in establishing this commission.
Ya jamba kontondiro fole kontondiro kendo mi alan ko ite ni la doku nyol ale wole ka kaje ko nying commissioner nying prae law.
Through this establishment, you rendered a splendid service to the Gambian people.
Ya jere kabri nying commissioner be law la ye doku kende bala ka Gambia dingole pour nying commissioner law.
Without the commission, we would not have known what witnesses have testified to in this commission.
Komi natara no nying commissioner man law denun ta lonna non sedol be kuma kangol men fola nying commissioner.
Well, we thank you also for the very wise concluding remarks that you made.
Le fana jayela be tentula be jayela ila kuma kan labangol mi yow min di.
As well as launching this first part of the hearings on the judiciary.
Do fana kan yin kan ko nga diamo min dati katana kiti bunda nin tilingo fana la teng.
Again, thank you very much indeed, for your testimony.
Mbafle ko denka baraka bake ye kuma kan wal min fojam.
We will conclude our proceedings here and then resume Monday morning, 10 o'clock sharp.
Mbada na janne fotana lunga inshallah.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
When we touch down, better broke down.
Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
That's so she became mine and see the
For all your pastry, bakery, and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe, and other services. At CK Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la skincare la 2020 lañ wax de waaw fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache perfect skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek loo lañ soxlaati rek maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal bel laka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi defee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw fii ngeen di ñëw skincare plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skin care products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentey tamit si ay dàll man waaye man nag skin care mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner Kiwi Eye the whole range Lighten Up Gold Tomatine I mean the list can just go on and on and on and on lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox skin care plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu nga United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes you know fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi taas kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii